I don't want to hear about the affordability because right now we're much less. The affordability is much better with the Republicans. The only problem is the Republicans don't talk about it. And Republicans should start talking about it and use their heads because we have great numbers. We have greatest, and they're going to only get better when all these jobs open up, all these factories open up that are being built all over our country.
When all these jobs open up, I love when he says those things because he took away the person who gives the jobs report. So we're not even gonna know when those jobs open up. So how would these Republicans be able to message? But the president is also actually play acting. He's pretending that the economy is working really, really great for the average American. And the polling, if it is in fact accurate, Cenk, Trump's not going to be able to walk away from this issue.
Yeah, so we'll break down the lies that he had there in other clips that we're about to show you. But I think two of the most interesting parts of this story are the polling that we're talking about. Like how badly is Trump and the Republicans hurt by this issue? And let me say that it's pretty bad, okay, but you're gonna see the depth of it in a second. And then
pretty bad also might be you on the US penny there.
I'm in favor of it. The people are talking about it.
Well, now they're gonna really talk about getting rid of the penny.
All right, so let's tell you about the kind of trouble the Republicans are in.
Yeah, they are. Since election night on just this past Tuesday, the president has insisted that Republicans are doing a great job in their handling of the economy, including saying this on his Truth Social. Here's President Trump. 2025 Thanksgiving dinner under Trump is 25% lower than 2024. Thanksgiving dinner under Biden, according to Walmart. My costs are lower than the Democrats on everything, especially oil and gas. So the Democrats' affordability issue is dead. Stop lying. That got hit with a community note on X. And that community note only happens when things are specious, missing context. The 2025 Walmart Thanksgiving meal contains 15 items, while the 2024 meal contained 21 items. Additionally, most of the brand name items in the 2024 meal were replaced with great value items, which I think it's so funny when they break that stuff down.
So Mike, I'm gonna jump back in for a second on that because look, guys, he says affordability is better with Republicans. Generally not true. I'm not going to break down decades of data for you guys, but if you believe Trump on that, no problem, okay? But the real problem isn't really Republicans or Democrats on that one. It's the corporate rule, in my opinion. For 40 to 50 years now, wages have stagnated while prices have gone up. And corporate media doesn't really talk about it. The corporate politicians don't really talk about it. So that's a bigger issue there. But when he said the Republicans don't talk about our success, and that's really the issue here. No, it's the exact opposite. The Democrats actually did pretty well on unemployment, for example, under Biden, and they never ever talked about it, right? Whereas if Trump does anything slightly good, he can't stop talking about it. Right. And he demands that everybody else go on TV and talk about it, by the way, which is not bad political strategy. The lying is the annoying part. So gas low under me, now it's down to $2. No, it's not. They did a fact check. It's at over $3. So he just has no attachment to the facts. But later in this story, we're also going to show you Anna and Steve Bannon kind of agreeing, not on the solutions, but on the problem. And the Anna part's not surprising. The Steve Bannon part's super surprising. So some on the right are beginning to wake up. Oh, this is a massive issue.
Right, and what Trump's saying when he's talking about, just to continue this for a second, when he's talking about this messaging is, I'm willing to sit here and lie. Where are the other Republicans sitting here and lying with me, right? And messaging has not always been the problem of the Republicans, been the problem of the Democrats. And I think even now with this shutdown, I don't think enough Americans know that the Democrats are holding out for health care. I don't think it's well known. If this were Republicans, they would call it the healthcare showdown. Democrats are not calling it that, and they're allowing the Republicans to call it the Schumer shutdown. But let's continue on with our great president. He was confronted about the dismal state of the economy today, but this time by a 3-time Trump voter. Take a look at this.
Regina Foley messaged me, and she says she is retired in Greensboro, North Carolina. She is a registered Republican all her life. She voted for you 3 different times, but she is not happy about how her prices have not come down that she sees. And she said this, quote, "I want the Republicans to keep control of Congress in 2026, but something has to be done fast. I don't see the best economy right now. Wall Street numbers do not reflect my Main Street money. Please do something, President Trump." So I guess what do you say to Regina and people like her?
Well, I do say this. Beef we have to get down. I think of groceries. You know, it's an old-fashioned word, but it's a beautiful word. Beef we have to get down, but we've got prices way down. And think of this. Energy. She drives a car, probably, and her energy prices are way down. And energy is so all-encompassing. It's so big that when energy goes down, everything comes down.
You think prices are coming down from this?
I believe that. Yeah, I think they're coming down, but I think they're down already. I think the biggest problem is Republicans don't talk about it. They don't talk about the word affordability, and the Democrats lie about it.
I also love these voters who says, I am a 3-time Trump voter. I am outraged about the cost of things. I want the Republicans to keep the Congress in 2026. It always baffles me. Let's just have a little more of Trump and then we'll talk about it.
CNBC, look at this. Down now, minus 13 points on the net approval rating on the economy. You come to this side of the screen, it's minus 19 points among Quinnipiac. And keep in mind, we're talking about hitting record lows for Donald Trump in either his first term, which of course ended back in 2021, or his second term. Worst economic net approval ratings at this point among presidents since 1977. In the presidency, right, this is a new Donald Trump presidency. Look at this. He's the worst for any presidency at this point. How about the second term? Come to this side of the screen. Of course, Trump's in his second term. He's the worst for any president at their second term at this point. So Donald Trump isn't just beating himself with record lows. This is the lowest for any president ever at this point in either a presidency or for a second term.
Yeah, there's Harry Enton from CNN talking about exactly how upset Americans are with all of this. You heard the president talking about beef prices as well. And today there was a little bit of news saying that his Department of Justice will investigate if meat packing companies are illegally inflating beef prices through illicit collusion, price fixing, and manipulation. And that's why, you're seeing a lot of these big prices. So you saw Harry Enton from CNN, Cenk, there talking about how this is, in fact, resonating with American voters. No surprise, because if there's any, this is the old, pocketbook issue. Pocketbook, it's a great word. It's an old word, but it's a beautiful word. People talk about pocketbook issues. That's what this is.
Yeah, minus 19 on the economy ain't no joke. That means you're in a world of trouble. Economy is almost always the #1 issue. And this is something he cannot lie his way out of. I know that he thinks he can lie his way out of almost anything, right? But at the end of the day, what's the price of eggs? What's the price of bread? What's the price of milk? Period. And even for the MAGA guys, that's why that 3-time MAGA voter was like, yeah, okay, I hear you. Yeah, Democrats, bad. I voted for you like 1,000,000 times. I'm gonna vote for you guys again. But for God's sake, are you gonna do anything? And the answer is no, don't talk to me about affordability, right? So like what he says is, oh, it's already down, when we already see that it's up. Like inflation is up 2.7% since February, I believe, right? So, and to be fair, it's gone up and down. And since he took office, it's up 1.4%. So, okay, not like 8% or something, but he did not stop inflation and it continues to rise. And people are feeling that. That's the one you cannot avoid. Democrats made the same mistake. Oh, that they thought, look, in my opinion, I think that a lot of them thought, they didn't even notice the price of milk being a problem, right? Because it's in elitist circles. And
it was also that they kept using the supply chain COVID argument that things are inflated, they're going to come down. So that was
and so but Biden and Trump share the same mistake at the end. And there's plenty of mistakes all around, right? But yes, but what are you going to do about it? Right? So Biden didn't have an effective plan. He could say, yeah, supply chain, that's a problem. And you're right, he's right. There was a supply chain problem. It did cause some degree of inflation. But what did you do about it? Nothing, or certainly not enough. Trump has the same exact issue. He's like, no, I'm just gonna lie my way out of it and say the prices are down, and hence I don't need to do anything. No, you need to do something. And he's just not doing it. And so it's not gonna fly. He's gonna run into that same old beautiful problem. Problem's like an old-fashioned word. and it can be beautiful. It could be ugly, but it could be beautiful. Yeah, minus 19% is a disaster.
And he got away with these lies as a candidate twice and nearly 3 times. And he's now the president, and he's a president who cannot run legally for office again. So these things are going to matter more, these lies and this obfuscation about what is true about the economy. Americans aren't buying it. That 19% number is unbelievable. Cenk, you talked about something that Anna said on Wednesday about the affordability crisis in America being so profound. Not to mention that she also sounds a little bit like, Steve Bannon. And let's take a listen to this. Again, they're not saying the same things. They're far different, but listen.
Calling him a socialist didn't hurt him in this election, because if you look at Democratic voters, many of whom live here in New York City, they are super skeptical of capitalism. Sure. Because of the crony capitalism they've been dealing with. They don't see a future for themselves in this country in terms of being able to afford a house, be able to get married and have children. So young Democrats who were very much galvanized by Mamdani's message were not put off by his message of socialism. They liked it.
And there you have what Anna was saying, and now take a listen to what Steve Bannon said, striking a similar chord.
We're not communist. We're actually capitalist. The problem with our system is we don't have any capitalists. They got all these interviews with kids and polls with kids that come back. These kids hate capitalism. They're all socialists. Well, hey, they never had a shot at capitalism. They're at the receiving end of corporatism. The Russian serfs. Did the Russian serfs sit there and did they love capitalism? No, they'd never seen it. And what they saw of it wasn't good. We need more people on our side of the football. We need more capitalists. One way to give them capitalism, not just better wages, that's income. Let's get them a little buy-in to the financial, let's get them bought into the financial structure of the country. You can do that by reallocation. It's simple. The government should have stakes in this. These guys are grifting off you. They've socialized the risk. You're the sucker that's going to guarantee the loans. You're the sucker that's paying for all the everything that underpins it. While they put these little companies together and they make it $1 trillion, it's all for them. No, it doesn't work like that.
Bannon talking about government guarantees, which is an interesting turn. Let's go to this one graphic before we get to some other people who agreed about the American dream, to what Anna said and to what I think Steve Bannon was saying. Nearly 70% of people, this is number 5, said they believe the American dream, that if you work hard, you will get ahead, no longer holds true or never did. That's the highest level in nearly 15 years of these types of surveys. So these people are definitely onto something, and Republicans are scared because it's Republicans who believe in that dream and espouse that dream, just like Democrats do. Eric Erickson, the conservative radio host, said grocery prices are going up, and now Republicans are perversely doing the same thing Democrats did when they were in office with Joe Biden, saying, quote, no, actually, don't believe your eyes at the grocery store. Prices are coming down. That's just what we heard the president say. That's not helpful to Americans who are feeling higher grocery costs right now, which is actually happening. The Republicans have got to figure this out. So, Cenk, I think that's all pretty compelling stuff about what the panic, the real panic and the real politic panic at the grassroots level in Republican politics is onto.
Yeah, totally. This goes beyond just Republican and Democratic politics. This goes to an awakening that's happening in the country. First on Anna's appearances on CNN are hilarious in one way. She'll say things that are super popular with younger people that are online, et cetera. Like a couple of nights ago, she said, well, yeah, Mamdani says we should arrest Netanyahu. Well, and of course we should. He's committed war crimes and he's been, there's an arrest warrant for him. And the conservative on the panel was like, that's it, we win. She said, who wants to arrest Netanyahu? Like as if that's a super unpopular position, when in reality that's actually a super popular position. Same thing kind of happened here, where she's like, a lot of young people don't mind Mamdani being socialist because they're socialists. And Shapiro for a second there had a look of like, haha, we win. No, you don't win. That's the whole point. That people are beginning to give up on your ideology and your market model. Now there's an irony here because I'm a capitalist. And so there's some portions of Bannon that I agree with, and but we're identifying the same problem. Before, in my opinion, the problem was hidden by mainstream media. No, don't worry, like your wages are not a huge issue. They haven't gone up in 45 years, adjusted for inflation. But it was like, it almost never made the news, right? And it never made the news because the Democrats never pounced on it. The Republicans never pounced on it. No one in power ever talked about it. But meanwhile, the problem was accumulating corporate rule, accumulating the donors controlling everything, accumulating. So now we've gotten to a point where, right wing sometimes will call it crony capitalism. There's nothing wrong with that phrase. That's absolutely true. Some on the left, including me, call it corporatism, but I've now seen Steve Bannon call it corporatism, right? And so and that's the same thing. That's basically corporations through their campaign donations buying off our politicians and redirecting everything towards them and away from you. So sorry that I keep pounding this to death, but because it's so outrageous. So an excellent example of that is the oil companies getting $35 billion a year in subsidies. That's 10 times what Israel gets. And they're the most profitable companies in the world and they have no excuse. Their industry is perfectly mature. It's a robbery. It's a robbery. So Bannon realizes the problem, we realize the problem. Some on the right that are more populist are realizing the problem, and a lot of their voters, tons of their voters are starting to realize the problem. Then the question becomes, yes, but what's the solution, right? So Steve Bannon had a curious one that you kind of noticed, Michael, which is he was kind of saying we should do wealth redistribution to protect capitalism. Right. Which was deeply ironic.
Let's go socialist to protect capitalism.
I mean, he's like, no, they're going socialist. We got to stop it by going socialist before them. Right. Okay, fascinating, fascinating. The funny thing is, since I'm a capitalist, I think that's a little too left wing for me. Okay, so you don't need to punish the rich.
Andrew Yangonomics there.
Yeah. You don't need to do it, but what you need is for your representatives to actually represent you. And what that means is that, guys, corporatism is opposed to capitalism because it doesn't want competition. The minute a corporation is born, one of the things that it tries to do is eliminate all of its competition. So corporations by their nature are going to be against free markets. Yes, that's deeply ironic, but very true. And so now then the question is, how do you protect free markets from the corporations that want to kill it? And so I don't think the idea is necessarily redistribution in a like kind of ham-handed way. The idea is for the government to protect us from the corporations instead of serving the corporations. And you do that through 1,000 ways. You break up monopolies that can set prices unilaterally and oligopolies. There's regulations to protect consumers. For example, with the banks, they take wild, out of control risk. And that winds up collapsing the economy and costing us so much money. And a lot of times the banks just literally rob us, right? And the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, for example, was doing a fantastic job of catching them and returning billions of dollars to the American people. One of the first things that Trump did was, let's get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And then he went around, we were almost the only show that talked about it, getting rid of almost every white collar fraud department within like the SEC, the IRS, all these different agencies. He's like, don't overlook the corporations at all. Let them go nuts. Let them steal all they want. Let them, no regulations, right?
And also getting rid of their legal departments too, not just them, but taking away any kind of a legal muscle that they would have to protect themselves in that way.
Yeah, so now we're in this dark place where over 70% of Americans think that the American dream is dead. So the old school guys, the corporate Democrats and Republicans and Trump don't get it. They're like, oh, we'll just lie our way out of this. We'll just pretend the problem doesn't exist. We've been pretending for 40, 50 years and the media covers our ass. But now mainstream media is dying and online media is going, no, I don't think so. Later in the show, we're gonna show you Joe Rogan saying the same thing. If Joe Rogan, Steve Bannon and us are agreeing on the problem, that's pretty compelling. Of course, again, back to the solution for one last second. One of the other angles so when Bannon talks about economic populism, he's half right? But then when you get to the solution and you get to Bannon, so I would put it this way, Fuentes at the extreme, then Bannon, then Tucker and others on like some version of white or Christian nationalism, right? And I used to think that Tucker used to dog whistle to that a lot more. I think he's actually gotten better on it, whereas Fuentes has gotten as bad as you can be, and Bannon has gotten worse. So the idea is to go backwards, have white people or Christian people or whatever subset that they think they're in have all the power. How does that help everybody? That doesn't help people at all. That's just you saying, yeah, times are tough, so that's why I should be in charge. That's not a solution. Our solution is actual populism. Serve the voters. You got to end the money in politics. If you don't end the bribery, this is going to go on forever and ever and ever. Who do you think they're going to serve? You or the guy who gave him $1 million or $10 million or $100 million? Everyone knows the answer. So the number one cancer is money in politics. That's where we got to start to get out of this corporate rule nightmare we're in.
Yeah, there's no question.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.